This is 13 Minutes. I'm Elliot Reeves. My guest today is Steve Ponton. Steve, it's brilliant to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Elliot. Great to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure. How are you keeping?
I'm good. I'm very good, in fact. Yeah, and I'm loving your 13 minutes with Elliot Reeves. It's great.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun for me, I have to say.
Oh, it's really good. You've had some great guests on. I'm in esteemed company. So, yeah, looking
Well,
forward to it.
I appreciate you saying that, Steve. So what I've been doing for this series is allowing people to introduce themselves. So, by all means, take the floor. Who is Steve Ponton?
Steve Ponton is an Edinburgh born and bred guy, now living on the east of the city, close to Portobello and Musselburgh. So I'm quite fortunate in that respect. On a personal note, I've got two grown-up kids. My daughter is currently expecting our first grandchild, so I'm really excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And on a professional level, I am fortunate to represent a couple of fantastic brands, the Federation of Small Businesses, where I'm a membership advisor, and LinkedIn Success Systems, along with Miles Duncan, which is a great honour to be involved in as well. So all good.
Great stuff. Yeah, I think that's probably where I first became aware of you, actually, on LinkedIn. You're pretty busy over there.
Yeah.
How did that come about, just out of curiosity?
I think I've always just really been fascinated with the ability to connect with people on a large scale, I guess. In a previous life, I'm an engineer to trade, if you like. I was a Ferranti apprentice. If anybody that's watching or listening remembers Ferranti, and then I got into technical sales. And back in the good old days, you made calls on a Monday and set up appointments for the rest of the week or the rest of the fortnight or the rest of the month. And then you had your diary full and you jumped in your car and you went off and you did appointments. So if people weren't available or they'd taken a holiday or were off sick, then you had a gap in your diary and you had to go kind of knocking on doors. So it just occurred to me that LinkedIn on a digital platform is just such an easier method than a Rolodex or a telephone call or sticking something in your diary. And if people are receptive to what you're trying to do, and you can build that relationship, then it just makes the task so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. It's like LinkedIn was always sort of the dark horse, or kind of the slight outsider on the social media platforms. Like, people were never really sure of its, I guess, potential. It was just like a CV type place. Maybe you'd apply for jobs, but in recent times, it's just absolutely blown up. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the actual work specifically that you do around that.
Well, on the LinkedIn side of things, again, about 2 years ago, I was keen to teach others how to use LinkedIn, and I've been on the platform since 2004. So shortly after the platform was founded, essentially back in 2003, in April or in May time, I think it was, and I decided a couple of years ago I had two choices. I could formulate my own training and reach out to people who I was connected with and help them out in order to be more effective on LinkedIn, or I could align myself with somebody who'd already kind of done that. So Miles Duncan's a prominent guy in LinkedIn. The unique side of the LinkedIn Success Systems is that he's built, developed, tweaked, refined the whole methodology that is LinkedIn Success Systems. So I got in touch with Miles through LinkedIn. I'd been along to one or two of his orientation sessions. We had a chat, and it was quite important for Miles that we were kind of aligned in terms of what we wanted to do with the platform, what we wanted to do in terms of building new products. So I became an associate partner, and we've kind of done things together ever since.
Fantastic. Big question. What is the number one tip for success on LinkedIn?
This is going to sound corny, but it's to be yourself. It's to be transparent. You've got to give people credit that they're not idiots. They will immediately suss you out if they think there's any level of falseness about your profile or about the way that you respond to them. Every single day of the week, you'll see on LinkedIn, don't you hate it when somebody connects or you agree to connect with somebody and they immediately send you a sales message? So people just have to get more familiar with striking up a conversation, building relationships, and ultimately, if that's the type of person that's either going to give you business directly or if they're going to refer you, that's the whole point of it. So my tip would be honest, be transparent, don't try to fool anybody.
Yeah, yeah, that's great advice. It's funny because I was invited onto a webinar yesterday as an expert on personal branding with Lee Fitzpatrick, and LinkedIn came up because we were talking all about how to use social media and whatnot. And one of the things I actually said was like, don't be that guy that you just add somebody and immediately throw the right hook and like, do you want to buy my stuff? There's just nothing worse.
Absolutely. And it's the thing is that it's not difficult to learn to be that way. You know, there's lots of conversations you can strike up. There's lots of information on LinkedIn that allows you to genuinely be interested in the person that you're trying to reach out to. So there's not really any excuses. There's no excuse whatsoever.
I think you're absolutely right. Totally agree with you. So, how have you been managing yourself throughout this lockdown period? How has it impacted you?
I've been busier than I was before. With my FSB hat on, we've got a massive membership in my region. FSB, again, I must really say, they've been outstanding. They've really come to the fore in terms of lobbying the government to get some of the things that people have now benefited from in terms of grants or furlough arrangements or self-employed. You know, we've supported these people all the way through. So I've been inundated with existing members who want to talk about the benefits, people who want to now join because they can see a tangible benefit. It's not just about whether they're going to need legal help or not. A lot of the time will be spent on helping businesses actually come through lockdown because there will be casualties from this whole pandemic issue, and so that's kept me quite busy. On the other side with my LinkedIn hat on, it's been a tremendous time for Miles and I to really brainstorm and come up with some brand new products and brand new services that we can offer to the public. We've been very cautious. We've been very sensitive to the fact that people are now finding themselves in difficult times. So we've managed to avoid completely springing, you know, we know that LinkedIn has grown massively over the time of the lockdown, but it's not in our DNA to kind of just spring on people and say, oh, well, now you need our help, you know, now you need LinkedIn, and this is for you know, for £400 we can put you on a course. So that's kept us busy in terms of development. But I've been inspired by lots of people who have used the time very, very wisely to sort of recalculate or recalibrate rather where they are in their businesses, where they are in their personal lives, and I think they'll come out of it, you know, all the better for that.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. In what way do you think the world is likely to change as a result of what's happening just now?
Personally, things have slowed down. That sounds ridiculous because I've just said how busy I am, but things have. There's been more time to think. I've had more headspace, and I think lots of people will be in the same position. You know, we talk about the rat race, and sometimes it is that, and people were going at 100 miles an hour, and that stifles imagination as well as anything else. So I think people have had that headspace and some time to really evaluate what's important to them and to come up with some really, really innovative stuff, you know, just to get us through that. And I'm hoping that that'll carry on through, and people will say, I've had a bit of a kick up the backside here. You know, I've been full on for too long. I should really, you know, get in more of a routine that suit, you know, the whole work-life balance thing. I think it's hugely important. So I'm hoping and praying that that's how things are going to be going forward once we get through this awful time, you know.
How would you like things to change, Steve?
It's always been my mantra to be as helpful to people as I possibly can. Now, some people choose to ignore that, and the ones that choose to accept it, I've most of the time been able to help. So I think I'd like people now to say, actually, through that tough time, I asked a couple of people for some help I'd never asked before. They were the experts in their field, or they had an experience that they could then pass on to me. I'd love just to see people carrying on, having that kind of camaraderie, that kind of let's all talk. Let's strike up a conversation. Let's discuss what our problems are. It's not, it's just being human essentially. So I think that'll carry on. I hope it does.
Yeah, I hope so too. What advice or insights would you give to anybody that's struggling just now?
Again, very much open yourself up. Talk to people. I think the encouraging, that's not the right word. The thing about this whole pandemic is that we're all in the same position. We're all in the same boat. There's nobody really that's not feeling a big change in their lives because of what's happened. So it's very much, put your hand up. I've got a bit of a problem here. It's not necessarily going to cost you any money financially to get that help. And I think people that I tend to have in my network, people that I tend to associate with, have always been there anyway, Elliot. It's just a question of whether people come to you for help or whether they stick their head in the sand and ignore it.
Yeah.
So my advice would be speak to more people, engage with more people, identify where somebody knows more than you do, and have that conversation.
Yeah. That's great advice, actually. Good stuff. Where can people find you, Steve?
They can find me on LinkedIn, of course. You don't have to go anywhere else. You'll find me up there. Type in Steve Ponton into the search bar. I'll pop up and send me a message or ask me to connect.
There's probably not too many Steve Pontons out there either.
There's one or two that I've come
Is there a
across
couple?
only because of what's been happening in terms of research and things like that. But Steve, there's not too many Steve Pontons, thankfully. Yeah.
Yeah. You're well search engine optimized.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Well, my friends, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and look after yourself. And we'll catch up, I'm sure, for a beer once this is all blown over.
And you, Elliot, and keep up the good work. I'm really enjoying the 13-minute stuff.
Thank you, sir. You're too kind.
Brilliant. Take care.